Hi everybody, it's Mrs. Fritz here. I am excited to be doing this next career day interview. As you can see, I'm on location and I happen to be interviewing my brother. My brother's name is Paul Geurtze and he is here to talk to us about his career. So Paul, what is it that you do?
So I'm a logger.
All right.
And do a lot of tree cutting and log hauling in the area.
Which is why we are in front of his log truck now. So Paul, what is it that you had to do to get to where you are now? What steps did you need to take?
So after high school, started looking for some jobs and bounced around a little bit, but then got into the tree care industry and started climbing trees and working in the residential sector. Went to another company and had an opportunity to buy a log truck and start hauling logs for them. So started out there and it just kind of grew from there.
Right, so this is your second log truck,
Correct.
Right? Yeah. So a lot of steps to get to where you are now.
Yes.
What is it that you love most about your job?
I get to work outside and every day is different. That's the best part about everything.
Yeah. And knowing Paul well, you get to work on your own for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
You make your own schedule.
Yep.
Yeah. So all of those things are probably really appealing to someone who might have an interest in working independently, making their own schedule, and like you said, being outside all day, every day.
Yep.
That's great. So what skills do you feel would be important for someone to have to do this job well? And some of them might be those trainable skills that you had to learn, but some might just be like soft skills, like being able to communicate with people and things like that. But what is it that would make a great logger or someone in the logging business?
For me, working by myself, I have to do everything myself. So I have to talk to the customers, I have to get my own jobs. So a lot of customer relations kind of things go into that. You have to know how to deal with people. Not too many people let you come work on their property if you can't talk to them and tell them how you're going to do the job and everything. So communication is a big thing.
Time management?
It is. Time management is a big part of it. And working alone, you end up working a lot, but it's a big reward in the end. So.
Yeah. And trainable skills wise, I mean, you've known how to run a chainsaw as long as I can remember, but you probably had to learn a lot along the way to be able to do this.
There's a lot to learn. It's not something that you can go to college for and learn there. It's something that you need to do to learn. That's how you learn is by doing it.
And you have to be regularly certified, right? There are certain steps you need to take?
There's a state certification that I hold. You don't have to, but it helps a lot. It's a good way to get the jobs too, because if people see that you're state certified, it's a big help. They're a lot more likely to hire somebody that's certified than not certified.
Right, that makes sense. It takes it from just being able to do the job to being able to do the job professionally.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So Paul, you said that you work in the green industry, and this is one of the paths that could be taken in the green industry, but are there other paths that someone could take?
There are plenty, and there's plenty right in this area that you could do. Also, others all over the country, even the world that you could do. Like I said, anything from mowing lawns right up through to being a forester or fireman. One thing that I wish I had done if I had known about it, but it just wasn't on my radar growing up, but join the Forest Service. If I had known about that, I'd have had my truck pack graduation day and been headed out west. Go out and fight forest fires and things like that. It just seems like a pretty cool adventure, and being able to see the whole country. But around here, anything from you could buy a lawnmower and start mowing lawns, landscaping, tree care industry, working at a sawmill. There's lumber yards around here, log yards. Boy, it's an endless list. There's just so many things to do.
Well, and I think you're right. Like, we live in a great community where a lot of those opportunities do exist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we've heard what you love most. We we heard kind of the skills that you need. What are some challenges in terms of being a logger?
Big challenge. My biggest challenge is the weather, which a day like today, it's raining, and I can't work because everything is a muddy mess, and I can't do anything. So it's a day that I take to wash the truck and do maintenance and things like that. So you have to, that comes into the time management. So
Do a career day interview with your
correct.
sister?
That's not normal, but it's happening today.
Right.
Another big challenge is actually finding work and competition and everything else. So you have to be, your best. You have to. There's a lot of competition out there with things. So being the best or trying to be the best is one of the ways that you can get more work.
Yeah. So hustle.
Yes.
Yeah. Constant hustle.
Yep. Never stop.
You're always working.
Yep.
Right. So this might go without saying, but I also feel like in your job you see a lot of different types of work environments. But what would you describe your work environment to be like?
Outdoors. That's mostly it.
Yeah.
Just everything outdoors. That's it.
Yeah. And I think now that you own your own business, you're able to really choose your work environment. But starting out, you were in a lot of residential neighborhoods and kind of wherever the job took you.
Yep. It takes a while to get to the point where you can pick and choose what you want to do, but it takes a lot of work to get there. But once you get there, it's nice.
Well worth it.
Yep.
Yeah. So this next question, kind of wondering in terms of salary. So for a logger, that could vary quite a bit, but what might someone expect in terms of salary, and are there opportunities for advancement?
Well, like you said, it does vary a lot. The logging business is part of the agricultural business and the green industry, which is anything from mowing lawns all the way up to being a forester. So everything in between, as well as farming too. So the salary really depends on how much you want to put in. If you're willing to put in more work, you're going to make more money. That's pretty much how it goes.
Yeah.
So the harder you work, the more you're going to make.
Right. So knowing you, Paul, I know and can honestly say that school was never your thing. I was the nerd of the family who chose to never leave school. I'll work in school forever. You couldn't wait until school was done, to be honest. What would you maybe say, what advice would you give to someone who's in that position now who doesn't want to be in school, can't wait to leave, can't get out the door quick enough? What would you say?
Well, you hear it from everybody, but you're going to miss it when you're not there. And I didn't believe it until I was in my 20s, but it's the easiest time of your life. So take it while you can get it. You're going to need to graduate high school, because if you want to get a loan to buy a truck like this or property or anything else, one of the first questions they ask you is what's your education level. It's the first thing. One of the first things you got to fill out on a credit application. And if you can't put down that you finished high school, they're going to be real reluctant to give you any money, because they figure if you can't get through that, you're probably not going to be paying that money back.
Yeah.
So it's
that makes sense.
definitely got to get through high school.
So Paul is a Greenville School alumni. There are classes that students can take that are watching this now that might be interested in becoming a logger. Were there any classes you took or activities or clubs you did that maybe helped or relate to what it is that you do now?
Quite a few. So FFA was a big one, help with public speaking, and that helps talking to customers, gets you that experience that you're going to need to communicate with people. Math, while you don't need the higher up,
Calculus,
all that kind of stuff, but for me, I don't know if it's different now, but course 2, got to get through course 2 because you're going to need all that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of adding and things like that when you're buying a wood lot and having to pay people for the wood and percentages and everything like that. So something that when you're talking to customers, they're going to want to know numbers right then and there, and you need to rattle them off. So pay attention to math class. The ag department was a big help. When I got my first big job as a grown up, when I had my own house and everything, that was working for a big tree company. And in the interview, I had wrote down on my resume that I could weld, which I learned how to do in ag department welding. And thanks, Mr. Canan. And I was in the interview, and the boss just was reading through the resume and looked up at me and said, "You can weld?" I said, "Yep." And he said, "Okay." It's like, that's good to know. We've only got one other guy here, and he's real busy. And so you be one other guy that can weld, and started out right there. And I had a foot in the door. So, and then just any of the other ag things, working on small engines, the bigger stuff and running equipment and things like that, it's a big help. Because, like I said, experience is what you need if you're gonna do work like this.
Yeah, and I think that students at Greenville are lucky that they have all those classes
Yes.
because a lot of schools don't.
Correct.
So,
Yep.
like us talking about trainable skills, well, some of the skills you needed, you didn't have to learn after you graduated high school.
Yep.
You were able to learn them while in
And
high school.
take advantage of them now, because after high school, you have to pay for every other skill you're gonna learn.
Yeah,
So this is the last free education you're gonna get.
yes, great. Well, that's all the questions that I had for you today, Paul. Thank you so much for completing